Hey, this is Rob with Road Dirt, and we recently were given the opportunity to ride and evaluate a Harley-Davidson Iron 1200 Sportster, courtesy of Harley-Davidson Milwaukee and their rental partners, Eagle Rider, specifically Eagle Rider North Atlanta, who arranged the deal with us. And man, we've just had a great time with this bike for the past several days, riding it out in the country and in in and around town and everything. And it's been a great motorcycle. I mean, it's a stripped down, basic, elemental American motorcycle. No frills, no bells and whistles on it. Just pure machine. And we've had a great time with it. So we thought you'd enjoy a little bit of a highlights video of it. We had a chance also to interview Kevin Baxter, a noted customizer and bike builder, about the history of the Sportster line. So hope you'll enjoy that as well. And just some of our thoughts and conclusions and insights into this, well, very historic American motorcycle. We hope you enjoy. Hey, this is Rob with Road Dirt, and we are with noted customizer and bike builder Kevin Baxter of Pro Twin Performance and Baxter's Garage. Kevin, I appreciate you taking some time with us.
Absolutely, man. Glad to have you here.
Thank you. Yeah, we're actually doing a story on the Sportster line, so I figured who better to talk to than a guy that's had plenty of experience with building them and customizing them over the years, and this is Kevin Baxter. So we're glad to be here in your shop. I see we've got several models right here. I want to ask you about these in a minute, but one of the things is I've always been fascinated by the Sportster line. I just think it's one of those iconic models in the Harley lineup. What can you tell us a little bit about the history of it? It's one of their longest running models in their entire Harley lineup, I think.
Absolutely. The Sportster unfortunately doesn't get the credit that it's due. There's an enormous amount of history there, not only in customizing but in racing and things like that. And of course, most people know that the Sportster came to be in 1957, but it could actually go a little further back than that. But like the K model, for example, which was it was actually the first Harley Davidson to have a hand clutch foot shift, and first with a hydraulic front end, hydraulic rear suspension, and also the first one with a swing arm. And it was a great setup. It was a real small, compact bike, but you could actually even go a little further back than that in the history to the old W models, that were used, by the military and stuff like that. And they've just been it's been a great motorcycle over the years. And then the heritage came in with racing and dirt track racing, and things like that. It's just always been a fantastic format.
It is. It's an iconic. Just when you think, at least for me, when you think of Harley Davidson history, I think of the Sportsters. What have made this particular model line so unique in all of their lineup?
Well, it was always it was kind of the everyman's motorcycle, to a large degree. So I think back in '57, I think the bike's listed for $1,100, right?
Oh, wow!
And during that era, the big players, especially in racing and things like that, you had Pikes Peak and all this type of stuff going on. It was all the British bikes.
Yeah.
So you had your Nortons, you had BSA, you had Triumph, and those guys were just killing it. And Americans needed something with their own flavor, So, and that's where the Sportster came in and solved it. And then over the years, it being that everyman's bike, it was more attainable, right? So a lot of the big customizers back in the day, Harman was one that not many people have heard of, but Harman did incredible things with the Sportster engines. Also his very unique front ends, and that whole Frisco style. And then as you got into the 70s, of course, Arlen Ness, godfather of customs, and it actually kind of in the early 70s, it was Arlen and Dave Perowitz, Donnie Smith, Barry Cooney. Those guys started getting more into drag racing and stuff. And the Sportster was a great format because, if you look, not just the styling, but just how the frame geometry was on those bikes. It became known as the Digger. And Arlen really made that nearly a household name in the custom bike market, and the idea was to emulate those race bikes. They had very skinny frames, very skinny front ends, and narrow tires with long flat backbones on them, and those guys really paved the way for custom bike building today, using the Sportster as the format.
When you look back over the Sportster heritage, I know the name has been the same, but they've done a lot of improvements, done some tweaking and things like that. Since '57, what have been some of the unique Sportster line, that some unique models in the Sportster line that just kind of over the decades kind of stand out for you?
Well, one of the things that, with it being that, again, going back to that every man's motorcycle, right, and being affordable, is, the power plants haven't seen a tremendous amount of changes, which means that there are parts readily available, and parts are less expensive. So, from 57 up to 84, it remained that ironhead format as far as a power plant goes. You did make the swap from 4-speed to 5-speed, of course, in the later years. But then when the evolution era hit on the big twins, the Sportster followed right along along with it. But over the years, the unique models and styling cues that they picked up, from racing and things, with the XR models, and then of course they had what I call their paint bottles, like the Confederate edition. That was the battleship gray with the big Confederate flag.
I know, I've never seen that.
And Harley even picked up on that, and the things they would change with the different models. They may change seats, ride heights, handlebars, paint schemes. But it's to me, the heart and soul of the Sportster is that it has, playing off that, again, that American heritage, that in its general construction, it's remained true to its heritage.
It definitely has.
But then just picking up the styling cues as the trends have went on.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about the three you guys have in here right now. You got two from the '70s and one from the '80s. I know this one's kind of dusty and dirty, but that's okay, man. If you guys are getting ready to start working on this baby right here, tell me a little bit about each one of these, and we'll just kind of walk through these a little bit.
Yeah, great story with these two bikes, actually.
Both of these here, they came in together?
They came in together. This 74 and a 72.
I see.
Both of these were purchased new, and one of which was gifted to a fellow's son. And when the gentleman passed away, it was quite a number of years ago, both of these bikes sat in his garage for over 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely untouched. And
looking a lot like this one, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And the idea was, the fellow that owns the bikes now, the son, he loved the bikes exactly the way they were, and he wanted to, remember his dad and remember that heritage of them riding together. So at his request, don't do anything visual, just do complete mechanical restorations. So again, both of them came to us. They had ran it over 30 years. So this one we've completed, and
nice,
everything
man.
from period correct tires, complete brakes, engine, everything to get it mechanically reliable. This one, of course, we haven't started yet. This one looked worse than this one.
Oh yeah.
I think it was parked closer to the door.
Yeah, that's how we do it. Now, one of them is kickstart only, and one of them is electric start only. Was that a change in the model year, or?
It was, and there was a bit of a back and forth crossover between a couple of years, where you would think the newer they get, the more advanced they would get, and that wasn't always necessarily the case.
Yeah. Cool. Now, one of your guys back in the shop, Guy, this is actually his right over here. Tell me a little bit about this one.
Yeah,
I love what you guys have done with this. It's beautiful.
Yeah, this was a solo project for Guy, and it was in pretty rough condition when he got the thing. And his idea was, he did a fantastic job, was to do a period, what would be a period correct, restoration on it. And every nut and bolt in it has been done, and he did a fantastic job with it.
Yes, he did. What year is this one?
That's an 84.
That's an 84. So. What's the difference in the engine between this one and the 72 and the 74? Was this the same, even in 84, was it the same engine configuration, or was it what was different about it? What did they do different?
Very similar. This was a bit of a crossover, so it's still an iron head, but that's when you start getting into your evolution bottom.
Okay, I see. Yeah, it's nice, man. Love what you guys have done. Well, Harley, I love the fact that they've still maintained the Sportster in their line. Of course, now it's not only a 1200, but it's also an 883, and they've got several of each that they do over the years. I love them. We actually, like I've told you, we've got one for a few days, courtesy of Harley Davidson corporate and via Eagle Rider of North Atlanta, who they did the deal with us for it. And we've actually got it. I wanted you to talk a little bit about this particular model line right here. This one is called the Iron 1200. And the thing I loved about it, first time I ever saw one, Kevin, was the paint job of it and the fork gaiters up front. I just thought, that is like 1976 or something like that. It just, Mike Boyd, my friend here on the other side of the camera, actually said that reminded him of the 1976 AMF look. With they'd have Harley Davidson there with a little AMF, but to kind of grab that nostalgia, they replaced it with the Harley logo. And I remember the Sportsters looking like that from the 1970s when I was a kid. I'm kind of dating myself a little bit, but what can you tell us about the new ones? What do you like about the new ones?
Well, like I mentioned, that the Sportster maintaining a similar frame geometry and overall appearance. It's Harley remaining true to the heritage of the Sportster, which I think is fantastic. It's kind of interesting, and I'm not sure where it evolved from, but over the years, the Sportster has become known as a ladies' bike or a beginner's bike. And
that's really not fair.
That's not fair.
No,
it's not the case.
Yeah.
What I like about it, again, we're going back to that heritage. The AMF era Sportsters are some of the most sought after now because of the styling that they did. You mentioned before, like the different models and things. They really, AMF packed a lot of money into that and developing the different models. And this is pulling off some of the cues. Like I said, the graphics on the tank, the bars, they're almost a buckhorn if they were turned back a little bit. Thing like the fork boots kind of go to, a little bit of the dirt track racing heritage and things. And then, of course, it being all blacked out, which is following modern trends. It's got nice shocks on the back.
They're adjustable, too.
They are adjustable. I do like how the seat format. It almost has a little bit of a bobber feel to it, but they're still following the modern cues with, like, your stunt bikes, your dynos and things that people are doing now with a high back seat, stuff like that. And then, of course, they maintain that heritage, but then they're still cramming in modern technology too, with fuel injection and things like that. So the
thing I like about it is that, talking about just the holding on to their heritage, it's fuel injection, but there's no ABS, no traction control. You don't have multiple ride modes. It's just simple, basic, elemental American motorcycle. And I know if somebody wanted to get one that's got all the bells and whistles on it, Harley's got plenty in their lineup for that, and other brands. But man, just for stripped down basic motorcycle, I guess that's just why, and the heritage, that's just why I love the Sportsters so much. And they're so affordable. Parts are easy to source, and just great motorcycles. So well, Kevin, man, I appreciate your time. How can people get in touch with you? How can they find you out on the web?
They can hit us up at protwin.com or baxtersgarage.com, or give us a call, 678-226-9651.
Very cool. Well, that concludes our 4 days with the Harley-Davidson Sportster Iron 1200, and what a 4 days it has been. We've had a great time with this bike. It's been a lot of fun to ride, just really feeling connected to it in every single way. It's simple, just man and machine. Now, there's all kinds of motorcycles you can get, all the other brands, and really pretty much just about every other bike in the Harley-Davidson lineup. It's got all kinds of electronic rider aids, anti-lock brakes, traction control, wheelie stabilization, ride modes, you name it, TFT displays, every other motorcycle, even down to brands 300cc on up. They've all got all the digital rider aids nowadays. This has got none of that. It's an electric key start and an electronic fuel injection, and maybe a little digital odometer. That's about it. This bike is pure. When you throw a leg over it and ride it, it's man and machine. That's what you get. If you want the rider aids, go check something else out. If you'd like to unplug from the digital and from the technology once in a while, throw a leg over this bike and have a ride on it. We think you'll like it like we did. Well, this is Rob Brooks for Road Dirt, over and out. Thanks for tuning in.